you, moderator.
All right.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, so this is the moderator of the meeting. Welcome to the Structural Pest Control board meeting. Before we get started, I would like to remind board members and staff who are not speaking to please mute their microphone. If I detect background noise during the meeting as a result of unmuted microphones, I will provide a brief friendly reminder or simply mute your microphone. There are members of the public in audience and meeting minutes are being taken, so I ask that board members and staff please identify yourselves before speaking. To facilitate public comment today, we will be utilizing the WebEx question and answer feature. When the board president reaches a point in the agenda at which public comment is appropriate, public comment will be requested. At the board's direction, I will turn on and announce the opening of the Q&A feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by clicking on the icon of a question mark within a square located at the bottom right-hand corner of their WebEx screen. These instructions on the screen will be shared each time for your reference. In the Ask field, typically in the lower right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, members of the public who wish to make a public comment will type, "I would like to make a public comment," and send to all panelists. Any other communication will not be responded to. Members of the public, it is not necessary to identify yourself in order to make a public comment. I will take comments in the order that they are received, and I will call on the member of the public and unmute their microphone. That member of the public will be given 3 minutes to make their comment, and I will provide a 30-second time warning. At the conclusion, your microphone will be muted, and we will move on to the next member of the public who wishes to make a comment. Please note that the Q&A feature is being used only as a means for members of the public to represent that they would like to make a verbal comment. Once you are unmuted, that member of the public may verbally state their comment. This is not a means to ask questions of the moderator or members of the board. Such inquiries submitted using this feature will not be answered. If any attendees are utilizing profane names, they will not be called upon to prevent members of the public from being subjected to profane language. While you are free to express criticism or negative views, for sake of members of the public participating on the call, please do not use profane language when making public comments to the board. If you do not have a microphone, please click on Audio and Video at the top of your screen. Select Switch Audio. If you need further assistance, please refer to that How to Join DCA WebEx event guide that was provided with the board meeting link. And at this point, I'll go ahead and pass this over to the board president.
Thank you. Are we going to use the video today or just audio?
If you'd like me to turn on the video, I can turn on that option.
Sure, I guess for those who'd like to use it, that'd be great. Okay, good morning and welcome everyone to the Structural Pest Control Board meeting Wednesday, October 21st at 9 a.m. If we could, I'd like to call this meeting to order. And Susan, can you provide us with a roll call, please?
Sure. Curtis Good.
Here.
Dave Tamayo.
Here.
Eric Devermont.
Here.
Kyle Finley.
Here.
Thank you. Janet Thrasher.
Here.
Okay, we have 5 members of the board at this meeting, which constitutes quorum.
Okay, great. Everyone, I have a flag. If we can please stand and repeat after me the flag salute. Place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, is there any public comments for items that are not on the agenda?
Great, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this agenda item, please click on the icon of a question mark within a square located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. We're currently sharing instructions on the screen for your reference. And in the Ask field, and typically in the lower right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, please type, "I would like to make a public comment," and send to all panelists. I'll now pause a moment to allow members of the public time to access that Q&A feature.
Thank you, moderator.
I am not seeing the comment section pop up like it did yesterday. I don't know if anybody else is.
This is the moderator. You'll need to have that participant panel open, and there should be a button that says Q&A.
Yeah, I have the participant panel open. Is everyone else seeing it?
No, I am not.
This is Sabina. I see the Q&A.
This is Dave. I see the Q&A as well.
Okay, I'm not. So if somebody can read it, if there is any.
This is the moderator. It looks like at this time there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Yes, I think it's been adequate time.
Right. Q&A panel is now closed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this time a review and approval of the minutes for the March 12th, 2020 board meeting. I think the only two in attendance was Dave and myself. Dave, you had a chance to review the minutes. Did you have any changes or comments?
No, I don't have any changes or comments. So.
And nor do I. Could I ask for approval of the minutes?
We want to, I'll move to approve.
Okay.
And this
I'll
is Sabina.
second. Kyle Finley can second.
Thank you. This is Sabina. I was going to let everybody know that even if you weren't present for the meeting, you still can vote on the minutes as you're relying on your fellow board members for accuracy.
Great, thank you. Okay, is there any other comments from board members? Okay, hearing none. Any questions or comments from the public?
All right, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment, please click on that Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen and type, "I would like to make a public comment," and send to all panelists. I will pause a moment to allow you time to access that Q&A feature. All right, this is the moderator. It looks like there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please, thank you.
All right, the Q&A feature is now closed.
Okay. I guess we need a vote on that,
Okay, I will go ahead and do roll call for that vote.
please.
Curtis Good,
Yes.
Dave Tamayo,
Yes.
Derek Devermont,
Yes.
Kyle Finley,
Yes.
and Janet Thrasher.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, at this time, moving on, Department of Pesticide Regulation update. Is Peggy available?
This is the moderator. I just promoted Peggy up to a panelist. Peggy, you should be able to unmute your microphone.
Okay, for sound check, can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I am Peggy Byerly of the Department of Pesticide Regulation in the Enforcement Branch Headquarters Group. As some of you are already aware, during the summer, over a series of a couple of months, a number of us moved to the new branch office that is called the Bradshaw Regional Office, acronym BRO. So now we have our Northern Enforcement Regional Office staff, our enforcement headquarters staff, such as myself, and we also have incorporated DPR's licensing unit here at the Bradshaw Regional Office location. So for a minor update, since a number of structural companies are dual licensed and have at least one or more categories of DPR licensing as well, I want to make sure everyone is aware that in August, DPR licensing unit began computer testing for DPR licensees. Occasionally, we do have some in-person DPR license candidates at our Bradshaw Regional Office, but for the most part, people who are interested in obtaining or adding to their DPR license will go through the computer testing. Just follow our updated website information for whatever DPR licensing information you specifically want to learn more about. All of the staff who moved to the Bradshaw Regional Office have already had their new phone numbers updated for the BRO. We still receive most of our mail at headquarters that comes out to us. So if anyone needs to mail anything to us, please be sure to check our website for what branch you're trying to get the mail to. Now, next week, we are very excited to have our first structural regulatory training for the new county inspectors. We are doing a Zoom virtual, and our training will be 3 days next week, Tuesday, October 27th, Wednesday, October 28th, and Thursday, October 29th, from approximately 8 a.m., approximately 12:30 p.m. We are very pleased that Board Specialist Tom Aniken is assisting us in giving the training. We always value his expertise in helping us to answer county questions. We opened it statewide since it's a virtual training this time rather than a regional in person. And we have approximately 108 county staff from approximately 40 counties that we have registered to get this training next week with us. And so, unless there's any questions, that completes my update. Thank you.
I've got a question, Curtis. This is Dave Tamayo.
Yes.
Does the training include specific information about the DPR's surface water protection regulations that apply to the pyrethroids?
This is Peggy, and yes, sir, on the first day, we have training on the branch 2 and 3 pesticide use monitoring, and approximately 45 minutes in addition, specifically on the surface water regulations.
And you said 45 minutes on the regulations?
Just the surface water regulations. We have more time earlier on the first day for other branch 2 and 3 application use monitoring inspections.
Okay. And so I was curious as to what they're told to look for as far as ensuring compliance with the regulations. What do they actually do to how do they actually go about ensuring people are complying?
Well, about 3 years ago, our inspection forms became part of an acronym called CalPETS. And so now even the new inspectors, when they're out looking, getting trained, they can click on a criteria item on their iPad and they can pull up the actual wording of the code section. for whatever they need to do. Now, this training introduces the fact that surface water is certain pyrethroids, and they're trained on how to look at the labeling, what methods, what sites, et cetera, are exempt versus those that the surface water regulations would apply.
What are they, so I'm trying to get at, what are they expected to do in the field during an inspection to determine whether somebody's in compliance or not? I don't know that much about how they go about their field inspections.
Okay, well, in addition to taking a look at the specific product label, once they've determined from the product label and the method of when and how it's being applied that the surface water regs would be applicable, they are observing the application in progress so that they can check specific to that product and that site type of application. So it's a little complicated for me to go over in this kind of forum.
No, that's fine. What you just said was about that they check and see what the requirements are, and then they actually observe the application. So that's what I wanted to know about. So
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, any public comments?
All right, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I have opened up the Q&A panel for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this agenda item, please click on that icon with a question mark within a square located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen and type, "I would like to make a public comment," and click send to all panelists. I'll pause a moment to allow members of the public time to access that Q&A feature. All right, this is the moderator, and it looks like at this time there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please.
All right, the Q&A feature is now closed.
Okay, great. Thank you, Peggy. Appreciate the update.
You're very welcome.
Okay, moving on to the executive officer's report. Susan, can you give us an update?
Sure. So in your board packages are licensing statistics, survey results, WDO statistics for the last several fiscal years. If you have any questions on those items, I'll answer those for you, and then I have just a couple of other updates.
So Susan, it looks like the passing rates of for field reps have gone up, operators substantially, even the applicators stayed about the same.
Yes.
Any other board members, thoughts, comments? Okay, hearing none.
Curtis, I would probably contribute those increases to, the exams that have been released in 2020, and those exams being more reflective of actually what's happening in the field.
Correct. Very pleasing to the industry.
The other couple updates that I have for you and board members, as it relates to personnel, Naomi Vasquez actually retired in August. She had been with the board for approximately 20 years. She was on the bond and insurance desk. She retired in August. We have replaced her. The new employee started on September 1st. Her name is Marina Say, and she is now on the bond and insurance desk. Other personnel-related matters, we currently have one vacancy, and that's for our half-time office assistant position, who is the receptionist at the front counter. We also have filled that position, and that employee is going to be starting on November 2nd. The only other update that I wanted to give board members in regards to subject matter workshops, we have temporarily suspended those subject matter workshops. Historically, everyone's aware that we have difficulty getting participation. And then with COVID happening, it was even more difficult to try and get people to travel, especially when there was stay-at-home orders. So we have temporarily suspended the subject matter workshops.
Susan, a question for you, Curtis here. Is there any discussions or talks about trying to do those in a Zoom meeting or anything?
No, I haven't had those discussions with Office of Professional Examination Services. If you'd like for me to, I can explore that.
Yeah, I think just in the event that this goes on longer than we'd like, I just don't want to get too far behind. I know we're, it's been a difficult path for us, so I just don't want to lose any momentum that we might have had.
Okay, very good point. I'll reach out to Ganesh at Office of Professional Examination Services this next week and ask him to look into those options.
Yeah, because thinking about this, I mean, this might be actually easier for us to get some attendees, and particularly if they can break it up into 4 hours or something like that.
Right.
This could work out pretty well, actually.
Well, it really could, and it, of course, would help with costs because the cost to the board just for Office of Professional Examination Services is about $5,000 for one workshop. And then our subject matter expert expenses for travel usually averages about $800 a person, and that's on top of their flight.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, good idea.
Yeah, could be a good opportunity.
Right. I don't have any other updates unless there's additional questions from board members or the public.
Moderator, can we open it up to the public?
Sure. At the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A panel for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this agenda item, please click on that icon of a question mark within a square located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. We currently have instructions up on the slide for your reference. Please type, "I would like to make a comment," and send to all panelists. I'll pause a moment to allow public time to access that Q&A panel.
Great, thank you.
All right, looks like we do have a couple, or one individual who has requested public comment. Individual identified as GK. Give me one moment while I pull up. All right, GK, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 30-second time warning. I am unmuting your microphone now.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning. This is Ganesh here that Susan was mentioning about from OPS. I just want to let Curtis know that because these are items, technically we cannot do a remote workshop for it because we cannot flash the items for everybody to see because Susan was talking about an exam construction workshop. If it's an occupation analysis workshop, we can do that, but not exactly the items. But I can still check with my supervisors and managers, and we will let Susan know. But as for my information, because items we cannot, if it's item writing, they can do it remotely, like new items if they are writing, but actually items that's going to go for the exam, we wouldn't be able to show it through a remote as of now for SMEs to check because we don't know who's writing out what, because, it's for confidentiality reasons. I just want to put that out so you have some idea, but I'll still reach out to my supervisors and I'll keep Susan informed on it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, totally understand.
All right, this is the moderator, and it looks like there are no other requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Yes, please, thank you.
All right, Q&A panel is now closed.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Susan. Appreciate it. Thank you for the update. Okay, item 13, inquiry and discussion on the Structural Pest Control Board's licensing timeframes. I think this is for individuals signing up and getting their licenses and examination times. Is that correct, Susan?
Yes. So we did have an inquiry from the industry. Excuse me. So I had one of my analysts in administration randomly go pull 20 field rep license files and 20 applicator license files and do analysis of the processing times for those individuals. Both of those desks were running under 10 calendar days. I mean, our goal, what we usually tell the public is 10 business days, but for both those desks, we were running under 10 calendar days. The biggest challenge that we see, and that's for individuals where the application was complete. The biggest challenge that we see from individuals getting their exam app processed or the license app processed is incomplete application. Another problem that is very, very common is when they provide us an email address, a lot of times it's not legible. So if I could just remind the industry to try and make sure that those applications are complete and to provide an email address that's legible, that would speed the process up greatly for the industry as a whole.
Perfect. Any other comments on that, Susan?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I don't know if PCOC, if Chris Reardon's on the call here, but if there's any way that we can maybe share that, it's really critical that I think some of the frustrations for the industry is they must provide, accurate email address. Because I looked through these and the board was very timely in sending everything out. And if they provide an accurate email address, they get it almost within that day many times. Is that correct, Susan?
As it relates to exam processing,
Yes.
yes, Curtis. Yes, if they provide an accurate email address, as soon as we are making them eligible here in PSI, then they'll be getting that workbook the next day. And that workbook is the flag of, okay, now I'm eligible. I can call and schedule my seat and get my exam taken. So yeah, those email addresses are really critical and would really speed up the processing time for everyone.
And the other part of, I think, this frustration is some of these test sites have very limited space due to COVID. So sometimes people have to travel and go further distances, but that's kind of out of our control.
Right, as you've indicated, PSI is under the same guidelines. Most of their exam sites, there's only 8 candidates allowed at a time. That provides for 8 candidates and 2 proctors to be in that room. So they may have to travel a little ways out. But there are 17 sites in California. So that's got to be a huge benefit to the industry versus how it was years ago with 2 sites.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board members?
Yes, this is Kyle Finley. How
Yes, hi,
long
Kyle.
is it after passing the test and submitting all the paperwork? Do we have a time frame on how long until they are actually showing up on the website with their license for field rep and operators, mainly field reps?
Hi, Kyle. Yes,
Hello.
the timeframes that I was referencing was actually for the license. So once we get that licensing application, if the application is complete, then they're getting processed within less than 10 business days. And we encourage those individuals to check our website daily because the information on our website is updated nightly.
Okay, so once you pass your test and everything's submitted, it's roughly 10 business days.
From the time that you submit your license application, if that license application is complete, yes.
Okay, and as far as digital forms, you were just saying it's ineligible on the written forms. Are we going to have something where we can fill out these forms online?
That's part of our process improvements for a new IT system. We're still working in a legacy system. We had everything ready to go. We spent a year on process mapping. We had our budget change proposal to fund that process and that program in place and had already been approved. It was supposed to be effective July of 2020 for a new IT platform. With COVID, we were told by Department of Finance that that budget change proposal is now on a hold for 1 year.
Okay, thank you so much. So we were headed in that direction basically until all this happened with the budget cuts.
Yes, we've actually been headed in that direction for several years. But
Okay,
yes,
awesome.
with the expenses of COVID, then Department of Finance has put a delay on that for 1 year.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, public comments.
Great, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment, please click on that icon of a question mark within a square located at the bottom of your WebEx screen. We have instructions up on the slide for your reference. I'll pause a moment to allow members of the public time to access that Q&A panel. Great, this is the moderator. It looks like at this time there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, Q&A panel is now closed.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that update, Susan. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on. Update in the status of research proposals and selected for funding for the July 26, 2018 meeting. Susan, I think you're handling that.
Yep, that's me again.
Yep.
So in your board meeting materials, there is a summary page that itemizes each of the current research contracts that we have in place. It also provides you with a very detailed breakdown of the invoices that have been received and how much has been received in current expenditures for those contracts, and also the balance of each of those projects that's still available. Also in your board packages are progress reports from 3 of the 5 researchers. That's also in your materials. If you have questions for me, I will try and answer those for you.
I have none. Any other board members have comments or questions? Okay, hearing none. Any public comments?
Great, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A panel for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment, please click on that Q&A icon at the bottom of your WebEx screen. And I'll pause a moment to allow members of the public time to access that Q&A panel. Great, this is the moderator, and it looks like at this time there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Great, Q&A panel is now closed.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Susan. We're back to you again. Annual review and possible action regarding the board's research fund. Susan?
Okay, so October is our annual meeting every year. So at the annual meeting, we will go over each of the items that have been identified by board members as items that they want to see at the annual meeting every year. So this was one of the items that was added a couple years ago. So in your board packages is a fund condition for our research fund. It currently shows what previous balances were. It identifies the contracts that we currently have in place. You can see that the contracts that we currently have in place, there's a large amount being dedicated to this fiscal year, 2021. You can also see that some of those contracts even go into fiscal year 21-22 and 22-23. Projections based on the revenue that's received for that fund and the research contracts presently in place. The approximate balance on June 30th of 2023 would be in the neighborhood of $430,000. At this time, I think it would be premature for the board members to direct staff to start the research request proposal process. Although that is a lengthy process, I think that we're a couple years out from where we should be to start that process to solicit for new research contracts.
Yeah, there's really not enough money in there for grants yet at this time.
Right.
Okay. Anything else, Susan?
No, that's just in there. Like I said, this is our annual meeting, so that's another item that has been committed to being on the annual meeting agenda every year.
Correct. Board members, thoughts, comments?
Hi, Curtis. This is Dave Tamayo. Did I hear correct that the amount is in excess of $400,000 that's available?
Yes, roughly about 30,000.
So I'm not quite sure I agree that it's not timely to solicit. I understand that we might not be able to fund very many, but it seems like we could fund one or two, and because of the long timeline to do this, if there's a project out there waiting to be funded, then that could occur. I realize it might be more efficient to wait for a larger amount of money, but it takes us so long that I'm not sure that sitting on a potential fruitful project is the best way to go. But I'm open to other ways of seeing it as well.
Just comment, Dave, did you realize that we were looking at projections for June 30th of the year 2023 to have that amount?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you that well, Susan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware that this is projections that we would have approximately 430,000 on June 30th of 2023?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I misheard that. So
yeah, we've got the research contracts that are currently still being in the works and still being. In fact, some of those are going to be pushed out to future fiscal years because of COVID.
Right.
We've already all 5 researchers have already asked for time extensions.
No, I understand.
So.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take back what I said since it was not well informed.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Okay. Any other board member comments?
Curtis, this is Kyle Finley.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's now or later, just a 2-minute explanation of where the money comes from, when we decide, what's the normal, when do we decide, how do we pick the projects, where do the projects come from, like the 1-minute outline of how that all works?
Sure. Susan, do you want to cover that briefly?
Sure. Okay, so the research fund is funded by the pesticide use stamps that are purchased by the industry. So when you purchase a pesticide use stamp, currently those pesticide use stamps are $6. $4 goes into the education and enforcement fund to fund that fund to reimburse the county ag commissioners for work that they do in the field on our behalf. The other $2 of that one stamp goes into the research fund. So if you look at revenue and transfers, you'll see that we're projecting a revenue of $150,000 per fiscal year. That's based on historical data of we sell approximately 7,500 stamps per year to the industry. So that gives you an idea of where the revenue comes from. As far as expenditures and funding research projects, we usually wait until there's at least a few $100,000 in the fund, and then we'll start the process with Department of Consumer Affairs Contracts Unit to go out for a request for proposals to researchers in California to submit proposals for research that they have in the works or that they plan to do. And then the board members review those, and then they select which ones may get funded. Does that help, Kyle?
That helps quite a bit. So typically then, is it once every 3 to 5 years you guys, like right now I see what you're saying in the sense of, hey, we've got all these other projects going on. Let's wait maybe a couple of years. So is it every 3 to 5 years you guys are going back at looking at the next research projects?
Yes, I would say that that's a very accurate timeline.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I have the sheet in front of me and I was just trying to understand it better. So thank you very much. That helps a lot.
Sure.
Okay, any public comments on this item?
Great, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A panel for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this agenda item, please click on the icon of a question mark within a square located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. I'll pause a moment to allow time to access that Q&A panel. All right, this is the moderator again. It looks like there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Great, the Q&A panel is now closed.
Thank you, Susan. Appreciate the update there.
Curtis and other board members, can I make one small correction?
Oh.
I said,
Go ahead.
in regards to the funding for the research fund, I said 7,500 pesticide use stamps per year. I don't know why I was thinking it's 75,000. So every projection is we basically sell about 75,000 pesticide use stamps per year to the industry, which results in a funding revenue of $150,000. I just want to make that correction.
Great. Thank you, Susan. Okay. Item number 16, annual review and possible action regarding the board's policies and procedures. You want to cover that, Susan, real quick?
Sure.
I don't think I have any recommendations really at this time, is there?
I have one possible amendment that I was going to recommend for consideration of the board members. So again, this is our annual meeting. So review of board policies and procedures is done at the October meeting every year. I have just one small recommendation for consideration, and that would be on G, as in George, 4. And that is page 7. page 7 is in regards to election of officers every year. And the way the language is currently written, President and Vice President shall assume duties at the board meeting following the annual October meeting. It used to be that we had a January meeting every year. That meeting has now been eliminated. So we have our annual meeting in October, and then we typically do not have another meeting until March the following year. So for consideration, I thought the board members might want to consider changing that to President and Vice President shall assume duties immediately following the annual October meeting, instead of having that 5-month window where the board president and the vice president that were elected do not assume any duties until March of the next year. For your consideration.
Okay. Do you need a vote on that, a motion or something to change that?
Correct.
Yes, we would if.
Okay. Sabina, did you have a comment on
So,
this?
I just said correct. Yes, I reviewed the potential change and agreed that it may be a little bit more efficient for the board's business for the officers to take over immediately after the October meeting.
Okay, very good. Thoughts and comments from the board members?
I guess I have a question. How is it currently if you don't take over immediately following the annual October meeting? What is the current situation?
So this is Sabina. So the language in your packet under the policies and procedures document on page 7 states that the new officers shall assume duties at the board meeting following the annual October meeting. So that means that they're not doing anything until the next meeting after the October meeting. So we'd have a gap. We'd have the outgoing president and vice president still in their duties until the following meeting after October, instead of passing over the duties immediately after the October meeting. That's on page 7.
I see that. Thank you for the explanation.
Sure.
Okay. So we need a motion to make these changes.
Correct.
Anybody'd like to make that motion?
Yeah, this is Kyle Finley. I'll make the motion to add immediately after the October meeting.
Okay, we need a second.
Second. I'll second that.
Okay, thank you.
That was Janet.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, ask for public comment at this time.
Great. This is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A panel for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment, please click on that icon of a question mark within a square located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen and type "I would like to make a public comment" and send to all panelists. I'll pause a moment to allow time to access that Q&A feature. All right, this is the moderator. It looks like at this time there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
I'm sorry, there was none?
There was none.
Moderator?
I still on mute, or am I unmuted? Are you able to hear me?
Susan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Curtis.
This is the moderator. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, moderator.
I can hear you, Sarah.
Are you able to hear me?
I'm sorry, I don't know if I
Good.
cut out. Can everybody hear me okay?
I can hear you, Curtis.
I can hear everyone just fine.
Hi, Sarah. This is the co-moderator. I think there might be a bandwidth issue. I think Curtis is the only one who can't hear us at the moment.
All right. In that case, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the video just to alleviate the bandwidth a little bit. We'll turn that off. President Good, are you able to hear anyone? All right, this is the moderator. I'm going to go ahead and pause the meeting just a moment while we get President Good back up and connected. So it seems like his audio is cutting out. So please wait one moment while we work on that. Thank you. All right, this is the moderator. Looks like President Good has rejoined, so I'll go ahead and promote him up to a panelist. President Good, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I'm back on. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. I turned off video just to save the bandwidth. I think that might have been causing some issues.
Okay, very good.
But to go back, there were no requests for public comment, and I went ahead and closed the Q&A panel.
Okay, very good. Okay, any other further comments? We have all the board members on?
Yes, Curtis, this is Kyle Finley. I do have another comment real quick.
Yes.
Typically, how did it work in the past of the new president gets assigned in an October meeting? Was this in place that the new president did not take over and got mentored by the past president up until January, and now the old president as of October is out and gone, and the new president's by themselves trying to figure it out? Can you explain that a little bit more? How that handover had gone?
Well, typically the next meeting was in January sometime, and that's when they take on the duties of president. So typically there's really it's just attending the board meetings and learning how to conduct the meetings. And that's usually doing just by attendance. attending these. I would say that's typically how it's been learned.
Okay, so there was no like, okay, we need the new president from October, November, December, basically is going to be learning from the past president, and that's why this was in place. And I just didn't want to make the motion to do this if all of a sudden new president's going, hey, I need to figure this out. But I guess the new president has been there long enough to have been mentored already, and it should just switch over right when the vote takes place.
Typically, that's been how it's been done. Usually, a person's usually served a bit of time on the board before they've gone in as president.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't this was originally in place because of they needed the 3 months to be mentored by the outgoing president. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Dave Tamai. I just wanted to add, there's a few other duties that the president attends to sort of offline, signing some of the final decisions and things like that. So, which aren't complicated enough to require any sort of mentoring, but so we have a motion in the second, right, Curtis?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we have a motion by Kyle and a second by Janet.
Yeah, and see, we had no public comment, so we're good there. So do you want to do is there any other comments from board members or questions? Okay, hearing none. Okay, Susan, you want to do a roll call for the vote?
Okay, Curtis Good,
Yes.
Dave Tamayo,
Yes.
Derek Devermont,
Yes.
Kyle Findlay,
Yes.
and Janet Thrasher.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Thank you. Okay, this is for regarding regulations and discussions, possible actions and updates. This is California Code of 1970.4, etc. I think is Darren assisting us with this today? Susan?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So Sarah, he should be in the audience. If you can move him to a panelist.
Yes, this is the moderator. I just promoted Darren up to a panelist. Darren, if you please unmute yourself.
Yes, this is Darren. I'm here.
Great, wonderful.
Good morning, Darren. How are you?
Good morning, Curtis. How are you doing?
Excellent. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Can you want to enlighten us about 1970.4 and what your committee's been working on?
Yes, so we have, thank you, Mr. President. So we have divided the committee into two separate segments. One is 1970.4, which we've dealt more with on the fumigation side, and we've met once and haven't had a chance to really follow up on that meeting yet, because we've spent the time focusing on 1970.41, 0.42, 0.43. And really where that is, we've kind of focused on branch 2 and 3 work for that code section. And so, so again, we've divided into branch 1 and then branch 2 and 3. Branch 1 being 0.4, 0.4, and then branch 2 and 3 is 0.41, 0.42, 0.43. And in your board packet, we have discussed at length some of the language there that would be presented that should be presented to you. 0.41 is pesticide pre-application notice. 0.42 is pesticide post-application notice, and 0.43 is just a reporting of a death or a serious injury, to include any county ag commissioner's office as well as a structural pest control board. And so so I'd like to open it up for discussion. to what the board thinks about the language that's been presented.
Okay, Darren, so your committee's worked on this on 1970.4 as part of your work as well, right? This is what you're presenting to the board?
At this point in time, 1970.4, it's in your packet. No. So
okay.
really, all we've done is that we've basically removed a bunch of that information and divided into 0.42, 0.41, 0.42, and 0.43. So that's what I'd like to focus your attention on. Are those potentially added sections? That the 1970.4 we'll be getting to at a little bit later date, and that's focusing specifically on fumigation.
Okay, very good. So specifically on the 1970.41, is that a whole new section, correct?
0.41, 0.42, and 0.43 are new sections because they were subsections basically divided into letters of 0.4. And so after talking with legal, we decided that it would be better to specifically separate those sections out.
Just, yeah, standalone. Okay. So you want to just kind of provide the clarity for what the pesticide pre-application notice is really trying to achieve here?
Yeah, that's the and really what it specifically addresses is what is a conspicuous place, if you will, for the pre-application notice, because we relied heavily on 85, section 8538 of the Act, and then kind of for the underpinnings of this, and so this is just so these specific sections are added as a point of clarity for 8538.
Okay, and can you remind me, Darren, who worked with you on your committee and helped you with this?
Yeah, so it was the prime members of the committee that contributed were Michelle Toms from Santa Clara County Ag, Jeff Croy from Orange County County Ag, Mike McKenzie from Orkin Pest Control, and Efren Velasco from Lloyd's Pest Control, and Peggy Brierly from DPR.
Okay, very good. And specifically in this area, can you just touch on maybe why this is so important? That I think the county ags felt this was very important to have this.
Yes, that the county ag really felt it was important because their opinions and their input is based off of the interpretation as far as enforceability, as well as the more importantly the comments and the concerns that they get from their constituents or the members in their counties and communities. I know that they are trying to handle those concerns, and so they've been so again there really isn't anything new or there as far as new requirements, but they've but these are just points for clarity.
If I understand, I think question for you, Darren Curtis here. The industry is kind of moving kind of quickly with kind of electronic notifications, and we thought that was handling most of this, and maybe industry was moving away from physically doing this. So when there was issues, when they would go out for compliances to find out if we're meeting that, I guess there was times that they felt that the public, and particularly in multiple housings, this wasn't being addressed.
Yeah, so the primary issue that 0.41 deals with is a posting of conspicuous places, and then 0.42, like you just mentioned, specifically what's been added is the electronic notification.
Correct. Okay.
I apologize. I've been looking at it for so long. I forgot that that's new at this point.
Yeah. Okay. So Any other board members have comments or thoughts, questions? Darren, can you touch a little bit, enlighten us a little bit on the 1970.43, that section and what drove that?
The comment was that if there was, that this is both tied to branch 2 and 3 work as well as to fumigation work, but if there was any, a death or serious injury associated with a pesticide application, that we would be adding the requirement to notify the county ag in that county to they'd be requiring the pest control company to report to the county ag as well as to the structural pest control board.
Yeah, perfect. Notification. Okay, great. Okay. Do you see this as your finished work in these areas here?
For 0.41, 0.42, and 0.43, yes. And so what we would like to do is then present this. We have the committee that has met several times, has a wordsmith these where they felt appropriate, has deferred to council where they felt appropriate, and then what I would like the board to do would be to accept this language to then send it on to OAL to start the rulemaking process.
This is Sabina. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, Sabina.
Okay, so as you know, and as Darren or someone pointed out, sorry if I forgot who it was, this reworking of this section, we kind of divided up into different branches so that we could tackle the fumigation portion as well as what you're seeing before you now. Sorry. So what's going to happen is that you are not done seeing this language because the other subcommittee has to work on the other portion of the language, the 0.4, because that's not done yet either. And this is all going to have to move together as one regulation packet to the Office of Administrative Law. So they're bringing forward to you this morning what they have finished on 0.41 and 0.42. I see 0.43 wasn't agendized, but like I said before, you're going to see this all again before it even moves to Office of Administrative Law, because we'll have to wait for the rest of the language so it makes sense as a packet because of the edits to 0.4. I hope that makes sense.
So Sabina, the best thing to do is wait until we have all of the language and approve it all in one motion.
You can do whatever you'd like. We can definitely approve 0.41 and 0.42 today. However, 0.4 is going to change again, or possibly more. We don't know with the other committee. We are going to have other additional sections for your consideration as well. It's not going to go anywhere if you approve it today. So you absolutely could wait and do it all in one. You can take this and the public can also take a look at it.
I'm here, so just keep going, and I'll just hang out in the back.
I totally lost my train of thought. Sorry.
This is Curtis here. Question. So if I understand him correctly, 1970.4 is actually composed of, is that a different committee group?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So really what you're looking.
Yeah, sorry. Since we're missing that 0.43 wasn't on the agenda, so there's really no reason to move this through today.
Not really, but it's a great opportunity for more public comment and for our new board members to see it and to have some time to reflect on it. And you're going to see it at another meeting, because by then the other committee will be done and we'll have the complete language for the entire regulation packet for the Office of Administrative Law.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I guess I'll move this to the board. Board members have any comments or questions? And we have to keep it just to the 0.41 and 0.42.
Well, I'm supportive. This is Dave Tamayo. I'm supportive of the changes, but I think procedurally it'll be less confusing if we just table approval of the ones that we could approve today until we get them all at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. I just as Sabina mentioned, I thought we'd just go ahead and open up for any questions or comments, and
Yeah.
maybe public comments as well. But we won't move on it today. Okay. No other comments. Any public comment on these two items?
This is Darren. If I can comment, please.
Yes, please, Darren.
I really appreciate the opportunity to handle this topic, and the support from actually the committee members that we all were able to gather and discuss this, which is discuss the details of these, which has been lurking on a lot of people's minds, and so we're happy to move forward with this. And then once we have the opportunity, we'll move forward with 0.4 and the fumigation side soon enough, and hopefully to have that for at the next board meeting, but no promises.
Okay, I think it's going to be in March, Darren. You think you might be ready by then?
Potentially, well, because I'm working with Dave and Sabina, and so there'll be some conversation that we will need to have between now and then. But yeah, there's a potential that we should have something for you, whether it's finalized or not. But at least we'll have something for you then.
Okay. Are you Darren? Are you comfortable with opening this up for public comment? Can you stand by?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hearing none other from any other board members, I'll open up for public comment if they have any questions specifically to 0.41 and 0.42.
All right, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I have opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this agenda item, please click on that icon with a question mark within a square located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. Currently sharing instructions on the screen for your reference. And I'll pause a moment to allow members of the public time to access that Q&A feature. All right, this is the moderator. It looks like at this time there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
All right, the Q&A feature is now closed.
Okay, Darren. Okay, thank you very much, Darren, for the update, and we look forward to your committee coming back, hopefully by March, and we can have this as a full agenda item and move this through. Okay, everybody hear me okay?
This is the moderator. I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, Curtis. I just didn't respond, but yes. So yeah, that is our goal.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Darren. Appreciate your work, and thank your committee very much for all they've done. And I know this is really good consumer protection, and thank your committee on behalf of the board.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, moving to Title 16, 1997, the WDO emergency fee increase. I think that was filed with the Secretary of State. Susan, can you update us on this item?
Sure. So yes, it was filed with Secretary of State. It was filed on September 14th, 2020. So our WDO fee increase now to $4 is permanent.
Okay. Board members, any comments? Susan, did you want to touch briefly on why we had to do that, maybe for our new board members, why we had that increase, just in case they get attacked out there for why we moved up had to increase our fees?
Yes, that this is very frustrating for the new board members. That pretty much was a result of dramatic increases in costs that we saw, not this current fiscal year, but starting last fiscal year with the Office of Attorney General, along with the Office of Administrative Hearing. So they had dramatic increases to those costs. So that pretty much drove us doing a fee increase. What we had in statute was a maximum cap of $3. So while the fee was at $2.50, we could only raise it to $3, even though we knew at that time that that was not going to sustain the board funding wise. So then we had to get that statute cap changed in statute to $5 to allow more flexibility. So once we got that statute changed to $5 to allow more flexibility, then we did the emergency fee regulation package to increase the dollar amount from $3 to $4 per activity. That emergency fee increase actually went into, well, the move from $2.50 to $3 per activity was effective July 1st of 19. And then the change from $3 per activity to the emergency regulation increase of $4 per activity was effective August 23rd of 2019. So since August of last year, Dave's been working very diligently on getting the emergency regulation package finalized and completed through Office of Administrative Law and filed with Secretary of State, which, as I mentioned, just became effective on September 14th of 2020.
Curtis, this is Dave. I just wanted to add that, well, one is thank you very much, Susan, for, you're identifying the need to do that, and doing that well ahead of us going off a cliff. The other thing is I wanted the rest of the board members to know that while we were considering this, that the PCOC, or at least as I recall, PCOC and a number of individual industry members expressed support for us doing this to support ongoing, efficient operation of and full operation of our of the board. So I'm done.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
This is Kyle Finley. Yeah, thank you again, Susan, on that. Can you, just like you broke down earlier, the $4 and the $2 from the $6 monthly pesticide report, what is, and maybe I should know this, what is the primary purpose of, where does the funds go? Can you break that out a little bit?
Sure. The board has 3 revenue funds. So we have our Education Enforcement Fund that is funded, as I mentioned earlier, by the pesticide use stamps. $4 of the pesticide use stamp goes into the Education Enforcement Fund. The other funding mechanism for the Education and Enforcement Fund is civil penalties collected on behalf of the county agricultural commissioners. So when they cite a pest control company for a civil penalty, then that fine amount, we collect it on behalf of the county, and then we put that money into the Education Enforcement Fund to reimburse the counties, the CACs, for their activities in the field. The research fund is funded by the other $2 of that pesticide use stamp that's sold, and that's the only funds that go into the research fund. As far as our support fund, all other revenue that's received from the industry goes into our support fund. For the WDO activities, that actually is our primary source for the support fund. We usually average, last fiscal year, looking at the WDO statistics, you'll see that last fiscal year the numbers were down a lot due to stay-at-home orders and COVID and things. But We normally average about 1.3 to 1.4 million W2 activities per fiscal year. So at $4 per activity, that is primarily the sole source of the revenue for the support fund. It's probably about 80 to 85% of the source for our support fund. The other fees for you industry members that are aware, our other fees are minor in comparison, such as a field representative license application being $30. So the WDO revenue really is the major support for our support fund, if that helps, Kyle.
Yes, that does. Thank you so much. I figured that's what it was. I just wanted to know. Thank you.
Welcome.
And Kyle, just to reflect a little bit, the research fund that, all these grants and stuff, that was, we can thank PCOC. That was a brainchild of PCOC that brought that forward and, seek the additional funding through the board's efforts and to manage that. So you can thank PCOC for their endeavors on that action there. I think that happened a number of years ago. Okay, any other comments or questions from the board members? Okay, I'll open it up for public comment.
All right, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment, please click on that icon of a question mark within a square located in the right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. I'll go ahead and pause a moment to allow members of the public time to access that Q&A feature. All right, this is the moderator. It looks like at this time there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close that Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
All right, the Q&A feature is now closed.
Okay, Susan, any follow-up on this, or are we finished? You didn't need anything else, did you? That was just to update us?
Yes, that was just merely an update for the board members.
Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see, section 1936, 36.1.2, 1937.1, 37.2, and then AB 2138 compliance. Was Dave or who's handling that?
I thought that was going to be Sabina or Dave.
Oh, okay.
I can give a brief update on that. So for the board members that don't know, there was a bill that passed last year, AB 2138, that significantly reduced barriers to potential licensees who had some criminal history issues that may have held up their licensing before. So these regulatory sections, 36, 36.1, etc., we adopted to comply with AB 2138. So that's the history of it. It's at Office of Administrative Law right now. It's ready to be approved. We're just waiting on Department of Finance to approve the fiscal portion of it, and there's some changes that they wanted to see. So as soon as Department of Finance signs off on it, they'll send it to Office of Administrative Law, and it will become effective.
Thank you, Dave. Sabina, did you have anything else to add to that?
I did not. What Dave referenced is pretty standard and what all the other boards are going through for this process. So it's you're not unusual. How's that?
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, board member comments?
I have a question, and I don't know if this is a place to talk about it because I know we're open to the public, but there was someone that we were talking about yesterday in regards to a criminal path. Would this affect that?
Janet, this is, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's right. Should talk about that now.
Yeah, well, besides that, yes, so one of the things that I did mention yesterday, and I know exactly what you're talking about, is how far back AB 2138 allows us to look at convictions and what type of convictions. And if Susan hasn't already in your orientation given you an overview of this bill, I'll go ahead and put together some materials and we'll make sure that we get the new board members caught up on this bill. It has been going on for a couple years now, and these regulations are the last portion of AB 2138. So I'll make sure it's kind of complicated, but it does talk about removing barriers to licensure based on convictions and prior criminal activity. And that 7-year limit that I alluded to yesterday is kind of plays into this.
All right. Thank you, Sabina.
Yeah, this is Dave. I just wanted to mention that Sabina is actually very diligent as far as making sure that we understand when that legislation applies, so that we don't make decisions on factors that we're not allowed to make decisions on. So, thank you, Sabina.
Sure. I'll try to see if we can put together a frequently asked questions or something like that. I know a lot of other boards are doing that for their website anyway, for their licensees. They have a lot of questions. I don't know if Susan was able to do something like that yet, but a lot of other boards put together that because it comes up a lot for people applying for their license.
I thought that we had put together something to put up on our web, similar to something that you had provided us from one of the other programs, Sabina. But I will check on that.
Okay.
This is Kyle Finley real quick. I just so I understand it better, which I think I do, is the board hadn't come up with the to remove the questions about the criminal history, but because of AB 2138, we had to put these sections in here.
So correct. This is Sabina. So the legislation changed some statutes, and because of that, we had to change some of our regulations. So our regulations clarify, make specific statutes. So because of the changes in the statutes, we had to then update our regulations. And every board and bureau had to do it, just about.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
And this is Susan, just for clarification. While these regulations are still waiting at OAL, as Dave mentioned, we actually started putting those practices into place on July 1st, 2020, as required by law. So even though these regulation changes haven't been totally approved yet, the practices are already in place and they're being administered effective July 1st, 2020.
Okay. Thank you, Susan. At this time, I'll open up for any public comment.
Great. This is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment, please click on that question mark within a square located at the bottom center of your, or bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. I'll pause a moment to allow members of the public time to access that Q&A feature. All right, this is the moderator. It looks like at this time there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
All right, Q&A feature is now closed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time we'll move on to legislation update and possible action. Start with AB 1788 Bloom Bill. I think Darren, if Darren, you're still available, if you can assist on this.
This is the moderator, Darren. If you are currently speaking, your microphone is muted.
Darren? Yay, Darren.
Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, thank you, Darren.
Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, so talking about AB 1788, the bill was signed by the governor late September, and now we're just waiting for DPR to give specific instruction as to how they're going to be enforcing it in the field.
Okay. Do you want to cover a little bit about the bill? I mean, I thought it was dead, and then it was also just brought back all of a sudden.
Yeah, we thought it was dead too.
Yeah.
But it was the governor's office asked for it to be driven through, and so it was. The bill has been modified in the process, and really what the bill's modification has been was to put a moratorium on the use of second-generation anticoagulants outside of specific exemptions that are listed in the bill until DPR completes its reevaluation of those products.
Correct. And Darren, what impact do you think this bill removing this anticoagulant bait from the industry might have on the consumers in California?
Well, it severely limits the potential for us to use that class of chemistry, and that class of chemistry has been selected specifically because of several of its benefits, and so it definitely has some potential to impact. Exactly how we're not 100% certain because we will see what it looks like, specifically as far as enforcement goes, but and how long DPR will take to complete their reevaluation.
And Darren, did the ag department, or agricultural industry, didn't they carve out a little exemption for themselves?
Yes. So all production ag is exempted. Waterways are exempted. Food processing is exempted. Food distribution warehouses are exempted, as well as a few other specific kind of key food locations, and hospitals are exempted.
Okay, well that's good. My concern is regarding agricultural and them still using it, and it seems like that might be at more risk, and they allowed them, as opposed to our licensees being able to have this product available.
Yes. Yeah, but there's nothing we can do about it at this point. The bill, so yeah.
Okay.
I don't disagree with you, Curtis.
Okay. I mean, in light that we're just going through a pandemic and all the homelessness and everything else going on, I mean, how do you see these inner cities and pest control firms controlling this?
We'll probably have to be using other classes of chemistry, so acutes, and so there's the and the concerns associated with that is that there is no antidote for any unintended exposure associated with those products.
Yeah, and I would see that being actually a little more risky in those cases, wouldn't you?
Very much so.
Yeah. So it very frightening. So is PCOC working on any counter to this, or what's kind of going on there? Can you tell us behind the scenes if anything's going on there to for the future of the industry and consumer protection in California here?
So right now, what we're doing, because the bill is signed by the governor's office, so January 1st, it will go into play, become enforceable. So right now, essentially, what the association is doing is to work with DPR and county ag commissioners on enforcement for clarity's sake.
Do you have any idea
Because
when DPR their testing? Do you have any idea when their testings might become available, or are they dropping that test?
No, they're actually picking up a lot of their analysis and their internal workings on this on these chemistries because they know that the bill is specifically reliant on them to move forward with their processes.
Okay. Can you enlighten us? Is there some other independent studies going on right now?
I know Dr. Quinn from UC is working on kind of population-wide level exposures and what that means as far as behaviors. And then she actually just got the permission again to work with DPR on creating some rodent control BMPs that will probably go into play as part of the permanent mitigation process associated with the reevaluation of second generation anticoagulants.
Correct. Okay. Okay, great. Okay. You have anything else to add there, Darren, on that item?
No, I wish I had more, but it's been adopted. So there's, at this point in time, we just have to now figure out what that means.
Correct. Okay. If you could just stand by, let me open up to other board members, see if they have any questions for you, Darren. Okay, hearing none from the board members. Can I open this up to the public for any comment in this area, please?
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A panel for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment, please click on that icon with a question mark within a square located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. Currently sharing instructions for your reference. I will pause a moment to allow the public time to access that Q&A panel and submit their requests. All right, this is the moderator. It looks like at this time there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Yes, thank you. Specifically to 1788. Thank you. Darren, question. I think the board, or maybe Susan, remind me that the board took a position on 1788 in the past that we opposed this legislation?
That is correct.
Darren, do you think it would be important for this board to take a position and have great concerns about public safety and removing this product from our industry without further research and DPR finishing their studies at this time? Can you comment on that, Darren? Darren? Okay, I'll open this back up to our board members if they have any further comments or questions on this.
This is Sabina Curtis.
Yeah, thank you.
That's okay. I thought I understood this was already signed into law.
Yes, but I think there's still some, yeah, I guess it is, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You can't, I mean, you can oppose a law, but it's not like you can unsign it.
No, I know, but I think I could, express our concerns as a board and,
Yeah, yeah, but it wouldn't be.
regulate licensees that we feel until they haven't completed the studies on finding out the possible, exposures on this. And I have great concerns regarding the consumers, and this is a really valuable tool to the industry. And I think the consequences could be very damaging to particularly the inner city areas and kind of the homelessness and everything else that's going on right now.
Right, understood. I was just trying to figure out a way, because it wouldn't be a position anymore since it's been signed into law. So if that's perhaps something you want to take up as to further legislation in like the next session, also, potentially carving out exceptions or to, to address your concerns, we can add that to a future agenda item or something similar like that.
Okay, I think that's a really good idea. Just put it on a future agenda item then. Okay. I guess no further comments or questions in this area from any board members. Okay, we move to AB 2028. Susan, were you covering this one, please?
Yes. So AB 2028 is a bill that would have required us to post all meeting materials on our website 10 days before the meeting. That bill did not pass the session and is currently dead.
Okay, so really no other discussion really necessary, unless any board members have any comments on this. Public comment?
Great, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A panel for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment, please click on the Q&A icon at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And then the Ask field, typically in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, please type, "I would like to make a comment," and send to all panelists. I will pause a moment to allow them time to access that Q&A feature. All right, and this is the moderator. Looks like we do have requests for one public comment. Individual identified as Charles Valadez. Give me one moment while I get my timer open. Charles, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 30-second time warning. I am unmuting your microphone now.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Forgive me. I know we're taking a step back, but the comment was closed after I got this question. So I just wanted to go back to 1788 real quick. And I know it was mentioned the possibility of the board expressing their concern. I think that's a wise decision for whatever it's worth. And the reason being is most recently we had Dr. Quinn had mentioned a study she had done regarding coyotes and the fact that she had in her study had noticed that coyotes had taken in the rodenticide into its gut. However, there was no evidence that it had caused the coyotes' mortality. So I thought that was interesting. She's currently doing more research on this. And again, just with some of her information, I think it would be wise for the board to keep its stance and or to at least express the concerns that we all have in the pest control industry with the loss of this important tool. Along with that, we're going to see rates or pricing go up, which in the middle of a pandemic is not what people are going to want to hear if we're losing this vital tool. anyway, I just wanted to express that. I thank you again for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Valdez. Any other comments?
This is the moderator. Looks like there are no other requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Great, and yes, thank you very much.
Q&A panel is now closed.
Okay, so that closes out 2028, the conversation. Les, did you have any final comments on that, Susan?
No, I do not.
Okay, then Senate Bill 878, licensing application process timeframes. I guess past, Susan, you're covering that one for us?
Yes. So we are already required to post our enforcement processing timeframes on our website. So we are now going to be required to also post our licensing application processing times on the website. And that would be for all of DCA. And that goes into effect July of 2021.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Any comments from the board members?
Is there any more explanation? I mean, are we for it, against it? Does it matter? Or, what's our thoughts on it?
I was certainly not in opposition to it, Kyle. Our program, as it relates to multiple other programs in within DCA, our timelines are impressive.
Because we have a good email. Okay, any other comments? Board? Okay, I'll open up to the public comments.
All right, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A panel for public comment. Members of the public, please click on that Q&A icon at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and type "I would like to make a comment" and send to all panelists if you would like to make a comment. I will pause a moment to allow members of the public time to access that Q&A panel. All right, this is the moderator. Looks like at this time there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Yes, please. Thank you very much, moderator.
All right, Q&A panel is now closed.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Okay, at this time, we have our annual election of board president and vice president. Susan, since this is kind of awkward, how do you see this kind of working out here? Any suggestions?
Sabina, do you have any suggestions from other programs? I was just going to open it up and ask if I have any nominations for president.
Yes, so, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, this is Sabina. So just like we normally would do, we can call for nominations of president, and then then that person nominated should accept or decline that nomination, of course. And then we can have any board discussion or public comment, and then we can take a roll call vote, and then we can do the same with vice president.
Okay, thank you.
This is Dave. I just wanted to point out that I am currently in a grace period, and so I think automatically at the beginning of June I will be off the board. So I think it would be more appropriate for me to not be one of the officers unless we want to revisit it in June, or the rest of you want to revisit it in June.
And just for clarity for the other board members, typically It's one industry member and then one public member that serves in these positions.
This is Kyle Finley. Who do we have right now? And sorry, I know Janet's not as far as public. Is it Derek only?
Yes, Derek is our only. Well, no.
Well, I'm a
Yeah, no. We have Rana.
Rana,
Yeah, she's a public member.
and I'm a public member currently as well. So
yeah, I knew you were a public member, but you're saying that
right.
You'll be headed out. So that's what I was wondering who. Okay, and where's your? Sorry, just real quick. Is Curtis's status?
I'm sorry. What was the question there, Kyle?
Just your status. Dave was just saying in June he's going to be basically off the board, not be sitting in that position. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I still have another year, and then I go into a grace, so I'm fine to carry on for another year.
Okay, thank you.
I have a suggestion, and that would be to reelect Curtis as president, since everyone else is pretty much brand new. I don't think Ron would be interested. And then one of the newer members could be selected as vice president, and get your feet wet a little bit, be a little bit more comfortable as a board member before stepping up to be president.
Dave, I'd be very excited and happy to do so, because that would probably be my final tenure to do this and have this opportunity. So thank you for the nomination.
Derek would, let's see, you're the only other public member on this. Would you be interested in serving as vice president?
Derek, your microphone might be off. Derek, are you there? Moderator, can you tell if he's there?
This is the moderator. I see that Derek is there and his microphone. Oh, it looks like
I'm here. I'm here. I'm sorry.
Oh, excellent. Derek, did you hear the question?
No, actually, I was in the restroom, to be blunt.
So, Derek, what we're trying to, I just nominated Curtis to serve as president for the next year. I sort of declined to be renominated as vice president because I will no longer be on the board after June. My term automatically ends then. I'm in a grace period right now. We have a tradition of having a public member and industry member being as president and vice president, so there's sort of a balance there. I don't think that Rana would be interested in serving as vice president, and so I was asking you if you're the other public member on call. Would you be interested in serving as vice president for the coming year?
What exactly are the duties for vice president?
You fill in as president if Curtis is unable to do that, and it's basically running meetings. There's occasional things where you represent the board at some other organization. That's not very common, and then also if there's some things that need actions or things that need to be signed by the president, and if Curtis is unavailable and something needs to be signed, then vice president does that. There's not a lot, but it gives you an opportunity.
I'm happy to do it. Curtis, try not to be unavailable.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. And
But it
typically
does kind of
speaking,
put onus on you to make sure you don't miss meetings because, you know, things do happen. So anyway.
Okay.
thank you, Derek. And typically, once you're into that position, then you would probably follow up as president the following year. We have kind of a history and tradition of doing that.
Okay. When would the term start?
Tomorrow.
Great. All right.
Yeah, that's what we approved. That's what we approved earlier in the meeting.
Yeah,
There's
actually,
not a lag.
No, I remember. I was just confirming.
maybe in 15 minutes, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah, we were trying to get rid of that grace period.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah, sure. Sounds good.
Okay, excellent. Susan,
So,
can you?
please consider that my nomination of Derek as vice president. So.
Excellent. Okay, any other discussion from the board members? Comments?
This is Sabina. We need a second.
Oh, yeah. I'll second that.
Did we have a second of Curtis's nomination, or we're just doing both of those at once?
We do.
This is Kyle Finley. I will second Curtis's nomination if we need to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Okay, any further discussion?
Any other nominations too?
Yeah, any other yeah, thank you. Sabina, remind me, do I open this up for public comment at this time?
Yes, please.
Okay. Is there any public comment?
I got a bunch of people with pitchforks and torches outside my door protesting this.
Totally appropriate for these times, right?
Oh, geez, I didn't realize I was on mute when I was talking. This is the moderator. At the direction of the board, I have opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. If you would like to make a comment on this agenda item, please click on the icon with a question mark within a square located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. Currently sharing instructions on the screen for your reference. And I will pause a moment to allow the public time to access that Q&A feature.
Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator, and it looks like there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close that Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
All right, the Q&A feature is now closed.
Okay, Susan, are you handling the election here?
I'm sure. So roll call.
Yes, please.
And Sabina.
Yeah. I was like trying to interrupt you, sorry. We want to make sure we're clear on what we're voting on each one. So let's take them separately. It's not, we're not doing like a ticket type of, you don't run together.
That was going to be my next question for you. Thank you.
Sorry.
So the first one is for Dave Tamayo with Kyle Finley seconding for Curtis to continue to be board president. I will do roll call now. Curtis Good.
Yes.
Dave Tamayo.
Yes.
Derek Devermont.
Yes.
Kyle Finley.
Yes.
And Janet Thrasher.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Now for the nomination that Dave Tamayo made and Curtis Good seconded for Derek to be vice president. Roll call. Curtis Good.
Yes.
Dave Tamayo.
Yes.
Derek Devermont.
Yes.
Kyle Finley.
Yes.
And Janet Thrasher.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Those have been recorded.
Perfect. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much. And thank you, Susan and Sabina, for keeping us straight there. A little
Congratulations.
awkward. Yeah, thank you. A little awkward not being present. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. I will cherish this last year for me to serve as president, and thank you for your vote of confidence. So thank you. I look forward to doing it. Okay.
Curtis, could you just spend one more minute on, you had said like, oh, tradition, we have a public member and an industry member, 1 year, the vice president takes over as president the next year. Any more on that to elaborate? How long the board member, you've been sitting on the board for how long? How long did it take you to be president? Were you president for a couple of years? What's that look like just the next 3, 4, 5 years?
Yes, it does. Good question. Yeah, it does swap out periodically. I've served, my tenure once I've completed, will be probably nearly 8 years. And I think this will be my 3rd or 4th time, possibly. Dave's had it a number of times. We both have served as vice presidents. And so it does kind of rotate around. So, and typically we wait, usually you come on like you're doing now. The first year, just kind of watch and see and assist. And most of the work is done by the president, and I can assure you will be available to handle most of the any dealings that the board has to handle in signing. So there isn't too much that way. Occasionally, for the other board members that are industry members, sometimes there's some informal hearings. We haven't had very many of those lately, that they do participate in those, but you don't have to be a president or vice president to serve in capacities. Those are usually shared between North and South. And typically those are industry members that serve and, ask for your time to serve on an informal hearing. Dave, do you have anything else to add to that?
Sometimes the president will appoint work groups or committees, such as like the committee that Darren just represented. And so that's another one of the responsibilities. I would add that, so it's not hard and fast that you only serve 1 year at a time. I think Curtis served for 2 years in a row as president, and while I was vice president, and I think I served for 3 years in a row as president. Sometimes it just has to do with who's available and the sort of the mix of industry versus public member. And I don't recall, Sabina, maybe offhand, is it a strict rule or just a tradition that we have president and vice president be from industry? And
it's in our policies and procedures.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in your manual.
It's in G4.
All right.
Yes.
Policies and procedures.
So
one of the positions must be a public member.
So one of them must be public, so they could both be public, but they can't both be industry.
Correct.
I don't know that I haven't seen that occur, but so that's a little different nuance. So, and I'm just going to point out that I kind of screwed up when last year when I nominated Curtis, because I thought it was his last year, and I wanted to make sure he got one last year as president, because I would have liked to have been president one last time. But anyway, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to just do I think it might end up just being one meeting. So anyway, I had it enough. It was great.
Thank you guys so much for explaining all that.
Yeah. And thank you for stepping up, Derek. That's appreciated, and I think I enjoy being president, and it's kind of nice to try and keep things orderly and all that. It's actually traditionally been a very good group to be part of. So
I'm a Robert's Rules of Order aficionado. What can I say?
Okay, very good. Did you have any final comments, Susan?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. Great discussion there, and thank you again. Okay, Future agenda items. Dave or Susan, who is going to handle the future agenda items?
The only thing I have right now is to bring back AB 1788. So I'm open for ideas, suggestions.
Well, we're going to bring back Darren's for the 1970.4 and all those.
Definitely. Yeah, we have to get the committee meetings going, and but yeah, that will definitely come back.
I would like to get an update on where we are with adoption of those IPM continuing education requirements that we had actually said approved them to move forward, and then we put it on hold pending EPA's I guess licensing requirement, I forget what they're called, but the certification requirements for pesticide applicators. And I think that DPR made their final submittal, but I'd really like to get the new board members up to speed of what we did, and then also figure out what is next as far as, where is DPR and US EPA with regards to those requirements, and are we in a position to move forward? Unless I lost track and we've already moved forward on it.
No, Dave, yeah, I can give you an update on that, Dave. So, yeah, for the new board members, we several years back had a continuing education IPM committee. That committee made several recommendations that were adopted by the board. Essentially, it was to lower the rules and regs hours and transfer those to IPM hours. So while we were getting going on that, we got word from the EPA that the certification and training guidelines were going to be coming down, requiring us to overhaul our continuing education system. So we figured let's wait to see what those are before we go in and start making changes. We're in the process of working with DPR now on the certification and training guidelines. Dave, just so you know, I asked Leslie if she had an update for us for this meeting. She didn't. DPR submitted our state plan, and they are currently waiting to hear back from the EPA if we got approval. So, so if we do get that, which I think we will, we'll be moving forward with the continuing education revisions and increasing that IPM requirement, along with a few other changes that the EPA is going to require. But
All right, Dave, this is Sabina. Maybe that update could be on another agenda item in the future.
That's what I thought we were on. So
Oh,
I
I'm
wasn't
sorry,
asking
Dave.
for the update right now, but I didn't want to step on Dave. So
Sorry.
I figured, Sabina, you would jump in if we went too far.
I was trying.
Sorry. Yes, it will go on a future agenda.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from the board members? Okay, I'll open up to any public comment in this area. Do we open this up for public comment, Sabina?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, this is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I have opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this agenda item, please click on that icon of a question mark within a square located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. Currently sharing instructions on the screen for your reference. In the Ask field, typically in the lower right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, please type, "I would like to make a public comment," and send to all panelists. I will now pause a moment to give the public time to access that Q&A panel and submit their requests. All right, this is the moderator. Looks like at this time there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
All right, Q&A panel is now closed.
Okay, for just clarity again on the future agenda items, it's going to be 1788, the 1970s, Darren's, and then IPM. Is that correct?
Yes, along with, we'll let you know when the regulations for AB 2138 have been approved as well.
2138. Okay, very good. Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you. Okay, everybody. Everybody has their board calendars. I guess our next one is officially going to be in March. Dave, any restrictions on your time frame for March meeting? Or any days will look best for you?
I'm a little hampered right now by my calendar situation, so it's going to take me a second. Sorry about that.
Okay.
What's the date in March, or we're trying to set that?
Probably the 9th, 10th, or 16th, 17th, or the 23rd, 24th, anywhere probably around there. And Susan, do you have any? We're going to be having any hearings? Are you aware of anything coming through I mean, it's so far off.
I think Melissa indicated that she has one pending that she held over. She didn't want to add a third one yesterday.
Oh,
Since
okay.
this being a new process, so I know that we will have one.
Okay. Did you have a preference to a particular day there for your schedule, Susan?
I was thinking early in the month, like maybe the 9th and the 10th.
Okay.
Because legislative bills, we should know what's on the table by then and to maybe review those.
Okay, perfect.
That works for me.
Okay, the 9th and 10th.
Samina, does that work for you?
Yeah, were you taking March 9th and 10th?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Works way better than later in the month.
Okay. Yeah. Derek, how's it work for you?
Yes.
Okay, we got a yes. Okay. Janet and Kyle?
This is Kyle. Yes, it works perfect for me.
Okay. And just so you know,
This is Janet. Looks fine to me as well.
and if that other case doesn't go through, just so you know, then it would be just a one-day meeting, but typically we'll hold two and see what the calendar looks like when we get closer to that time, if there's, any reinstatement hearings. Okay, so we'll go ahead and calendar the 9th and 10th. And Janet, or excuse me, Susan, we have July in here as well. Are you trying to have one in July as well?
We normally would every year, Curtis. Our July 2020 meeting was canceled due to the COVID situation. So we would normally have a meeting in March, July, and then October.
Correct. Okay. And hopefully at some point we'll be able to meet in person here. Does the Tuesday, Wednesday work best for everybody?
Yep.
Okay. Dave, how does like the 2021st work for you?
Of July, I won't be on the board, so.
Oh, you only go through June, huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure I don't even go through June. I think it ends at the beginning of June.
Oh.
That is correct, David. Your grace period ends on June 1st, 2021.
Mm-hmm. Very sorry to hear that.
Yeah, the end of I've been on the board now for I believe 10 years, so it's been very rewarding.
Yes, I'm good. Okay, how does everybody else look around the 13th or 14th or 21st?
20, both dates work for me. This is Kyle Finley.
Okay.
It works for me right now too. I don't have plans that far out on my calendar.
Okay. Derek, do you have a preference? Derek, do you have a preference?
Should be okay.
Okay, let's, Janet, we'll do the 20th and 21st.
Sabina, does that work for you?
It does. I'm assuming I won't be able to travel the world yet, so, COVID. I'll be around. Sad.
Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, so look at the 21st. Okay, October. Do the 19th and 20th.
Right. I was going to throw out the same thing.
How's that work for everybody?
Perfect. Kyle Finley.
Okay.
Fine with me as well. Janet?
Okay, excellent. Derek, you good with that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sabina, that's all right with your schedule?
Yep, you got it.
Okay, excellent. Okay.
Real quickly, are they typically the same format we just did? Noon to 5 and 9 to whenever, 9 to 5 the next day.
Yes. Yeah, typically it'd be like that. And if we're meeting in person, that allows you to travel up to one day, attend the meeting in the afternoon if we have hearings, so we can do it in person. Then you'd spend the night and then meet first thing the next morning, and then you'd have time to travel home then the next afternoon. So typically the event would, if we're meeting in person, would call for just one night of stay away.
How many times is it in Sacramento compared to Southern California?
Typically, we'll rotate those back and forth. And
okay.
Yeah.
So is the July meeting most likely going to be at it? For me, I'm up in Sacramento. What meeting is in Southern California, typically?
Normally that would be July.
Okay. I just want to put that on the calendar in case this COVID's not happening. We get to finally meet in person. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. So everybody good with their calendars? All good? Okay, Susan or Janet, or excuse me, Sabina, do we have anything else to go into closed session to cover?
Not that I'm aware of. I think we took over everything yesterday.
Okay. Any final comments from board members?
Been pretty interesting. Thank you for everyone working with me and together on this first opportunity to serve on the board.
Well, this is Curtis here. I'd like to thank you, Janet and Kyle and Derek, and really appreciate all you guys stepping up, and really look forward to meeting everybody in person. It's been a real pleasure, and really enjoyed in closed session yesterday, all the dialogue and your involvement. That was really exceptional, I think. And to our moderator, thank you for everything today. This has gone smoother than I anticipated, especially, my abilities on this stuff. So anyway, Susan, do you have any final comments or thoughts?
No. New board members, thank you. It was a pleasure. Moderator, yes, this went much smoother than I expected, so I appreciate that. That's all I have.
Thank you, guys. This is Kyle Finley. Just one quick comment. Do we have anybody else in the works right now in the application process for the board members?
Susan?
Not that I'm aware of, Kyle. I can reach out to, I'm sorry?
We do have spots to fill, obviously. Correct?
We do, yes. There's a public member vacancy on the governor's side.
That's the only spot that we can fill right now?
Yes, until Dave finishes his grace period, and then Dave was appointed by the, I'm sorry?
Speaker of the Assembly.
Right, Speaker of the Assembly.
Yeah. I believe that the speaker could fill it any time before the end of my grace period. I'm not totally sure that that's correct, but they tend to kind of lag on their appointments anyway. So, but people can, if you know of people who would be interested, they can get their applications in now. It should be open since my term actually ended.
Yes, and this is Sabina. Oh, sorry. We also have some executive orders from the governor right now in effect that extend some of our grace periods and with our members and appointed members, and who knows what that might be like in the spring.
Would that affect an assembly appointment?
I'd have to review all the executive orders to see if that's included. I was under the impression it did, but I didn't look specifically at it for that. So we'd have to look at it closer.
Yeah.
And Kyle, Curtis here. It's pretty common for us just to have 4 or 5 members. It's been quite a while since we've had a full seat of 6. So
7.
Or excuse me, yeah, 7. Yeah, I don't think we've ever had 7 since I've been on the board.
We've struggled just to have 4 members at each meeting for several years now. So even though we had more seated members, but people actually showing up, it's been a problem.
Okay, without anything, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, does Rana typically attend the board meetings? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, her attendance hasn't been the best. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to thank the public for everybody joining in and a couple comments out there and being available on PCLC if they're out there. I greatly appreciate it. So at the time, unless anybody has any final comments, I'll close the meeting.
I'll just mention to Sabina that if that executive order does apply to my position, and I'm willing to serve if the assembly doesn't appoint somebody. So.
Okay, sounds good. We'll take a closer look at that executive order and see who it exactly applies to.
Great.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Our meeting is adjourned. It looks like it's about 11:25. So very good. Thank you, everybody. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you, guys.